is here's the old exhaust gaskets that came off of this. And notice how these tabs are smacked. So it was probably sealing. They actually do sell, different gaskets for these high flows. If you look right here, when you lay these in here, these little divots go down in here. Well, when you move it over here, it hits. This piece hits here. Here's one that hasn't been bent. That fits in there nice and tight. If you can see that lip right there. If I were to put that down here, see the holes don't line up. So what I figured out is you take a pair of tin snips or go get the right gaskets. But what I did with a pair of tin snips is I just came in here and cut this edge out on all four of the edges. Makes a sharp point, so you probably want to have gloves on when you do this. But now you can see it fits that one still, but this one, it sits flat now and the holes line up. Okay, when you're ready to put your exhaust manifolds on, first thing you want to do is take your bolts and anti-seize them, kind of like I've done here. Make sure you get it under the washer, on the top of the washer, all the way around. That's going to help you later on when you take it apart. I would usually use the copper. This is what I got, so this is what I'm using today. Now we're going to take our gasket like this. Make sure it lines up here. Another thing I noticed is you notice that the exhaust ports don't completely line up on the manifold, but if you lay it up against the head, they're actually a little bit bigger than the port on the head. So that should be just fine. We're going to lay this up here, start installing our bolts. Exhaust manifolds can be a real pain. You know, I'm doing it out here on an engine stand, which is way easier than in the vehicle, obviously. I want to try and make sure they center themselves and all that fun stuff. The other thing I did when I cut these gaskets is I smashed any edges that were sticking up with a pair of pliers like this. They're essentially sheet metal pliers is what those are. So then you may have to move the gasket around a little bit. One thing I'll warn you about is you always want to get the bolts started before you even think about tightening anything. These exhaust manifolds and any exhaust pieces for that matter do have a little bit of play in them. And the best thing is a socket and extension here. One more here, actually two more. And you want to run these in by hand, because if they don't run in by hand, more than likely you're going to strip one of them, which you really don't want to do. I'm going to put my hex bolt up here. Move this down here. So a little bit of anti-seize goes a long ways. Make sure you don't cross thread these. Being aluminum heads, it's quite possible to do. Actually, it's probably more likely than not. Sometimes the holes don't like to line up, but there we go. I've got a swivel socket, Allen socket here. Sometimes that helps. I don't like torquing with these. If I can put a straight one on it, I will. The simple fact of the matter is, with those balls, this will go down in the socket head and it'll actually strip out the socket if you're not careful. So, you know, you want to use just something without that ball end to torque them if at all possible. Those torqued to 7 foot-pounds and an 1/8 inch pipe, which is 84 inch-pounds. And that should be ready to go. And then we'll need to put our up pipes on